Welcome to Living Astrology Radio with your host, Janet Hickox, human design consultant and intuitive astrologer. At Living Astrology, we are tapping into the wisdom of the cosmos to uplift, empower, and enlighten people to their personal genius. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology. I'm your host, Janet Hickox, and I'm so pleased that you were able to join us today as we have some really exciting things going on in the sky above us. And I'm sure as I see the queue lining up with callers, I'm guessing that everybody is feeling the pressure. And even I've been feeling the pressure, which is to say that I'm just like you. And often I experience the pressure of what's happening out there before everybody else does. And that way, I think it's the universe's way of preparing me for what everybody else is going to be asking in terms of questions and, asking about what's going on in their lives. Probably 3 or 4 years ago now, back in 2013, so 3 years ago, is when I started the show, Living Astrology. And the reason I started it, and with that name, is because I really believed that if we could get in tune with what is going on in the heavens above, then here on Earth below, we could be sort of aligning ourselves with the flow of the energy. And I have to tell you, it was really interesting to me as I rarely look at my chart, even though I probably should look at it more frequently. But this week, I actually, I think it was late last week, I actually looked at my chart. And there's a point in the chart called the vertex, and we rarely talk about it very much, but it's sort of the mathematical equivalent of the halfway point of all of the planets arranged in your chart. And often when an inner planet, or even sometimes an outer planet, when it transits beyond or over your vertex, interesting things happen. New people show up in your life, or someone who will have some kind of an effect on your life show up. So I was really sort of interested the other day when I noticed that Saturn and Mars were getting ready to conjunct right on top of my vertex, and I wondered, who is it I'm going to meet? For God's sakes, I live on an island. I'm rarely out and about, and when I am, I'm usually like going to Costco, the grocery store, the doctor's office, maybe to work, and I don't really meet or have an opportunity to meet people that are, sort of effective in or have an effect on my life. So this afternoon, just before the show started, I realized, oh my God, I have this awesome person that I want to introduce you all to, and he has had an impact on my life already. And so here we have Living Astrology, astrology in action in my own life. And I'm going to bring Jason on live right now. Jason, are you able to come on live?
I am not only able to come online, I am delighted to be online. Everyone is screened at the moment, and they're sitting in the queue waiting to hear your wonderful tidbits.
Nice. Thank you so much. So, audience, this is Jason Livanis, and he is joining Living Astrology Radio as my producer, also as a very skilled and very intuitive tarot card reader. And Jason, I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes here to introduce yourself, tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll go on and talk about Virgo and all things Mercury retrograde.
Awesome. I'll give you a little quickie on me. My mother was a pretty well-known psychic in her time. She passed away in my 30s, warned me that after she passed, she was going to start talking to me. And I thought, oh, great. She's going to start talking to me from the great beyond. And I just thought, she's just going a little bit around the bend, And the long and short of it was 2 years later, I started hearing a voice, and I checked myself into therapy, and the therapist said, sorry, sweetheart, you're not cuckoo, but in fact, you are receiving messages. It was at that point that I was bartending in New York City at the famous bar/nightclub called Stonewall, which is now, just because of Obama, become a national landmark. And there was a gentleman there, and it just so happened that he was planning on taking his life, and I gave him some information. He ended up not taking his life, and he came back a day later with a deck of tarot cards and said, I got a message from the universe that this is going to be one of your tools. And when he gave it to me, Janet, I thought, oh, okay, great, thank you very much, but this is not my thing. I'm going to be, all these other things. Lo and behold, it has become my deck. I use the deck called the Cosmic Tribe Tarot, which is chock full of imagery and is quite beautiful. You can all look it up if you like. And I've been using this deck for the past 10 years, been traveling internationally as well as nationally, trying to give guidance to people that need it. And that's kind of my story. So, I'm going to let you get back to your callers and talk about this little vixen called Mercury and how fun.
Vixen.
I say that very tongue-in-cheek because I'm sure all of your readers or callers in, rather, are familiar with how this winged barrier of astrology can somehow interrupt or interfere with our communications, our electronics, and all of that other fun stuff. So I'm going to turn the mic back over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. Now, Jason will be joining us periodically today as we do readings to add his interpretation, perhaps, or his flavor of interpretation of his cards in relation to what the issues are that might be going on for people in their lives. Next week, you'll want to join us for sure because Jason will be my guest that day. I'll actually be playing producer and interviewer so that Jason can actually do his thing. He can actually show his stuff and do some readings for people and talk to us about the Cosmic Tribe and a little bit more about himself. So in the meantime, how is everybody doing out there? My guess is you're feeling the pressure. You're feeling that there is, in particular, a house in your life or a part of your life, a house in your chart, that is in particular fire. And actually, it's not even fire. Actually, it's Earth. It's all Earth signs. These planets are all lined up in the sign of Virgo. And I think if you've been listening to the show for a while, you probably have heard me talk about the Virgo energy and how it's played out this year. 2016 and even the end of 2015 last year, we were really seeing this plotting of Virgo planets that would all be creating our need to become whole and would be asking us to heal ourselves. And the reason we would want to be doing that is because we no longer have this time of just playing around in the world. We're really being called to get it together so that we can share our gifts and our talents in whatever way that is with the world. And here we have now Mercury joining the party. The Sun actually joined the party after Mercury. But now we have 4 planets and the North Node in Virgo. So if you've been feeling a lot of pressure to do something, or if your health is under fire, or wherever it is in your chart, there's one specific area where you're having some issues, then it's probably in Virgo and is a call for you to love yourself more, to get more grounded, and to actually take your life now and move it forward in some way. Mercury is going to be spending a little bit of time here in Virgo now because of its retrograde. It'll turn retrograde on August 30th. And then on September 22nd, it will turn back to forward motion. But of course, just because it turns back to forward motion doesn't mean it's done with the retrograde. It will actually stay in Virgo all the way up until October 6th. So we still have, even after all of the other planets, the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter move out of Virgo, we will still have Mercury sort of what I call batting cleanup. It'll actually be going back over those last 15 degrees of the sign and making sure that you learned all your Virgo lessons. Now, you guys might be thinking to yourself, well, what does Virgo really rule? And when I think about Virgo energy, it's always going to be Mother Nature. That is the picture that jumps up into my mind. and there isn't any way for me to, get that out of my head, because Virgo energy is really very much about goddess energy and the goddess of the earth kind of energy. Now, we all know Virgo is often very pragmatic, down to earth, and detail-oriented. They're very good at critically thinking and analyzing, but those are just some of the Mercury kind of qualities that Virgo has. And Virgo also covers a whole lot about the health of your body. In the astrology chart, it rules the sixth house, which is the house of work, service, and health. Now, people, when I use the word service, I had a real tough time with that word for quite a while, because to me it always felt like I would have to be in service to somebody, which I'm not really at odds with service, but it just kept reminding me of slavery and me having to do something, not necessarily that I wanted to do. So I kind of had to shift my perspective of the word service, and that is where I get the idea of sharing from your gifts and your talents. Because in reality, sharing of my gifts and talents is about astrology. Jason's is about tarot card reading or intuitive readings. And there may be some of you out there whose gifts are in counseling, taking care of children, cleaning up. Who knows? There's a myriad of things out there, because just as many people as there are in the planet, there are that many different ways in which we can serve via our talents and our gifts. So what we're really being tasked to do when we have a lot of planets in one house is we really have to get moving in sharing of ourselves. And I always think of Virgo energy, too, as where the rubber meets the road, right? In the fifth house, we're all about creating and putting things together and idea flow. And then, boom, the sun moves out of Leo and into Virgo and the sixth house. And now it's time to take those ideas and those brilliant creative things and move them out. Because if you don't, then they're just staying in your head, or they're just, things that you're kicking about but never acting on. So this is a real time for you to get some clarity and get some direction and move forward. And Mercury retrograde has a kind of an interesting little piece here, because you all know that when Mercury's retrograde, it's really not a good time to act. It's not really a good time to take steps forward, because often when we do, we find that we've forgotten something, or the contract wasn't right, or there's a big tie-up on the freeway and we don't get to our meetings on time, or all those kinds of fun, or computers crash, or Blog Talk won't let you in. All kinds of weird things can happen during Mercury retrograde. So we don't always want to take the forward steps during the retrograde. Instead, we want to go inward and evaluate where we are in our ability to take things and move forward. And that means sometimes what we do is we have to relook over all of that creative energy and make sure it all works. And maybe we have to redefine or put together something a little bit different. And that is what this Mercury retrograde time is for, at least as it relates to Virgo. Now, here's another little tidbit. If you've been having health challenges and you've been sort of poo-pooing them and not paying attention to them, and maybe, you keep getting emails in your email box that says that you need to eat better or get some supplements or do something different with your health, those may be hints that you are being given by the universe to take some time during the Mercury retrograde to get your health checked out. Maybe it's time for you to take a look at what's really going on in your body and in your mind as it relates to your physical being, and get your health squared away. So let's take a look here. I see I've got so many people in there, so I'm actually going to take a couple of readings right now. And since Jason is talking to somebody, I'm going to bring in my first caller. And James, that is you, right? Hi, James.
Yes, it is. Hi.
How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, I'm not sure if you're my friend on Facebook or not, and I hope you are, because there was a James Jackson that I saw was having some issues this week. Oh, thank you.
I am.
It would have been a typical Mercury retrograde bonehead thing for me to do, to have been reaching out to someone who has no clue who I am and asking them to call my radio show. So I'm really glad that it was you. So now, James, I have your chart in front of me, and I can see maybe a little bit as to what's happening, but why don't you tell me what is your concern or what is it that I can help you with today?
You know, I do. I've been feeling the pressure. And I've been feeling the pressure, so to speak, towards my day-to-day experiences. The pressures of limitation, and even in the personal relationship sectors. So I'm very much open to whatever insight is sticking out at the moment. Is it you see?
So let me ask you this: Are you having issues mainly in your career sector? Maybe are you having some trouble putting together a path forward in your profession, or is it kind of everywhere around your life?
You know what? It's a little bit of my daily routine and my profession. It's almost like it's a little hard to make things tangible, so to speak. Right.
Okay. This is perfect, James, because I have some really great information for you, and it really has nothing to do with Virgo at the moment. Although, I'll bring Virgo into this in just a minute in Mercury retrograde. But in your birth chart, you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 planets or mathematical points that are in your 11th house, all crammed together there. So it puts a lot of focus in that particular area of your life. And that particular area of your life is in your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. And when I don't mean the kind you dream when you go to sleep at night, I'm talking about your bigger things, right? The bigger dreams and how you want to manifest yourself in the world. Now, this house is also about the associations with people. So groups that you might hang out with or you identify with. In some respects, it's your friendships that you have, the kind of friendships you have. Like maybe you have colleagues that are also friends, but you may also have, friends from other civic clubs or things like that. So it's kind of all the different kinds of people that you associate with. And in some respects, at this point in time, you're being freed to pursue people that are in the right world for you. I'm trying to be tactful here. That perhaps you have aligned yourself with people that are not helping you, right? That are, and it's not that everybody in your life should be helpful. That's not what I mean. But they should at least be supportive of whatever it is your life path trajectory is, so that you have a win-win thing going on with one another. So I want you to be very clear about who you surround yourself with. When we were kids and we were in high school and we hung out with a clique or a group of people, and my mom, your mom might have done this too, and she used to always say, if you hang around with the hooligans, then people are going to think you're a hooligan because you get identified by the people that you're hanging around with, is essentially what she was trying to say. And it's kind of true, right? Because people outside of you look at you and go, oh, he's hanging out with them. I don't want to be a part of that group. So taking a look at, again, who you are with, are they supporting the same dream? Are they moving in the same direction that you are? Does that make sense to you?
That makes perfect sense. Yes, that yes, because there are some organizations that I feel really depleted by. Yeah.
Okay. And the reason that this is important now is because the planet Uranus and his counterpart right now, or his cohort in crime, Eris, are hanging out together very tightly, and they're creating this sort of rebellion that's going on in our lives. Really, I think it's more about liberation and how we can be freed up of things that have held us back or held us down. But in this case, they're in the sign of Aries, and Aries needs to go out into new directions. It needs to be independent. It needs to be self-sufficient. It yearns for steps forward on its own terms. So get out there in the world with your dream and with the people who are aligned with your dream and move in that direction. You don't need to try to bring along people that aren't as interested or who continually try to drag you back into old territory and that kind of thing. And Jason, you're free at the moment. Would you come in and maybe pull a card or two or three for James for me?
Absolutely. While I was listening, because I had finished with my screening endeavors here, I thought, let me pull, since this is my maiden voyage, let me pull 3 cards and see what I get. And I'm just laughing off air here because, James, this is what I have for you, okay? Are you ready?
I am ready.
I do 3-card pulls, which some card readers, they like to put 15 cards down. One is crossing you, one is up your nose, the other one is in your ear. Not me. I do immediate, past, present, and future on any subject. So I said, all right, I was talking to my mom saying, give me some color. The first card that comes up is the 3rd card of the major arcana, which is the Empress. Now, if you change the accent on that word, it comes across like impressed. I bet you, first of all, you're good looking. I can tell from your voice and the way you disport yourself that you have a great demeanor. You're one of these people who can walk into a room and just impress people. People are attracted to you, and you don't even have to work that damn hard. So the first thing that I see in the cards is not that you are lazy and not that you are not working hard, but you've been gifted. You're kind of a great dude, and people are impressed by you very easily. And that's what's in the immediate past. Now, in the immediate present, the card that I pulled is the 7 of Cups. And I want you to hear, like, circus music. This is the card of chaos. And it goes in exact alignment with what Janet was saying to you. You have some crazy... I'm going to try and keep it clean here, Janet. You have some crazy butt energy around you from these people that are pulling on you and demanding things for you and wanting things from you, and they're all over the place. It is the card of chaos with respect to people and work and organizations. Now, I want you to hear me because I'm not one of these gloom and doom card sayers. The last card that I pull on you in the immediate future is a card of warning. If you don't listen to what Janet is saying to you, and this crazy Greek man who's just pulled 3 cards, who doesn't know you from Adam, then I can't help you. But I want to tell you the last card shows that if you don't choose your associates correctly, there's an old Greek saying, tell me with whom you walk, and I will tell you who you are, which is like the American version of if you lay down with dogs, you get up and sleep. So, what I'm going to say to you is this. If you continue the associations that you have that are dragging you down, it is going to deplete you mentally, physically, spiritually. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all I've got for you, Janet. I return the mic to you.
Thank you, Jason. I
Pleasure.
absolutely love having him on the show. I absolutely love this. I am just going to be tickled pink till he decides to leave me. Because it's so wonderful to have someone else, chime in. It's validation, James, right? That I'm not the only one coming up with this for you, that there's, validation from a completely different person. And, I'm on the West Coast, he's on the East Coast. It's not like we're sitting in the same room. So it's good to hear. So now let me take a quick look before I go on to my next caller at your Mercury retrograde. Now this will be happening in your 4th house of home and family, traditions, basically the root system, right, your foundation. So if there's anything going on at home, if you're planning on changing things or moving or anything like that, don't, unless you started that well before Mercury retrograde, don't change anything big until after October 6th, okay? But what can happen during this time is this is a great time to heal any family relationships that may have been damaged or that haven't been peaceful or loving. Because, when we have I was going to say some bad words, but when we have a lot of planets at one end of the chart, like right now in Virgo, we have all of these planetary energies. The best thing for us to do is to move to the opposite end for balance, right? So we want to move to that Pisces end. And over there in Pisces is the energy of compassion, the energy of using our intuition, the energy of self-love, and of unconditional love, all right? So if there's anything going on that way that you can, put some unconditional love towards, that's what I would suggest you do. And anything else I would say is just about building a foundation now so that you can be able to launch your creative ideas out into the world. All right?
That is so great. That is so fantastic. That's so confirming. It is so confirming.
Thank you, James. And, reach out anytime, that we're going to do readings weekly, at least for, some part of the show, and we can help give you some direction as things go on, okay?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're most welcome, and I'm so glad it was you that I was chatting with on Facebook and not someone else. All right. Take care, James.
You too.
All right. Thanks. Bye. So, astrology is fun. There is so much fun here, and I think as we get to blend it with blend astrology with tarot, we're going to see some real depth pull into our readings here on Living Astrology. So I want to just give a quick shout out. Next week, again, remember, Jason is going to be on the show as a tarot reader. So if you're wanting a tarot reading, next week is your week to do it. Jason is available through email for readings at zenstaging. Oh boy, I just blew that, Jason. zenstaging@gmail.com, or is it Yahoo? Okay, well, I'm going to...
I love it. Yes, we are definitely not sitting in the same studio. I'm across the country, and it is Zen Staging, one word, as in Zen Buddhism, zenstaging@gmail.com.
There you go.
Next week when I come on with you, I'm going to give you a little background, too, insofar as how the astrological arts are so closely linked to tarot, because so much of the information was reinterpreted for cards from astrology. So that'll be a little bit of a fun tidbit. I have a lady for you by the name of Shruti, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, who would love to talk to you next.
Awesome. Thank you. Hello, Shruti. How are you doing? Hello.
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking my call.
You are most welcome.
To read it.
Well, tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life and what your question is about.
So my question is actually regarding careers and spiritual growth. That's where I'd like to focus on.
All right. So can you fill me in a little bit? What's going on in your career? Are you looking at changing careers or professions?
Yes, I'm currently working. The company is going through a downturn, and I've been stagnant over there. So it's an opportunity, to look outside. So that's what I'm doing. I've started that. Recently, let me put it on mute. Recently, I went through an interview with an outside company. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So I'm looking for other opportunities, see what else is out there.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with the career house in your chart before we go through Mercury retrograde and the whole Virgo place, because actually they're going to kind of play in together here, because your career house is the 10th house. Opposing the 10th house is the 4th house, which is, like we were talking with James, the foundation, right? Home and family, the roots that you put down. And that's where Virgo is in your chart, just like it was for him. So up at your 10th house is Pisces. Now, what I forgot to mention is that we have 2 eclipses coming up over, September 1st and September 16th, and they are going to play right across this axis for you in your chart. So my guess is, because eclipses are game changers, that something will be changing as it relates to both your career and how your foundation is laid in the very near future. Now, because Mercury is retrograde in that same part, it may delay it a little bit, but I wouldn't worry about that, because, sometimes opportunities come to us, and then if we're feeling like we're in lack or scarcity, we may jump at that first opportunity, and then later something else comes along that we were really much more suited to be involved with, and now we're not available to take that opportunity. So it's a fine line here. If you have opportunities that open up to you, then be very judicious in which one you choose. And please, Shruti, as I look at your chart, you have a 29th degree sun in Taurus, and you've also got Black Moon Lilith there and Venus there. So some of the issues in your life are about lack and scarcity, about feeling that you need to have safety and security in financial means. But it's also sitting in your 12th house, which means that in some ways there may be times when you sabotage yourself or your forward motion, and maybe you make decisions out of fear or a fear or a limitation of sorts, instead of making a decision that's really more in alignment with what you feel is you or what makes you happy. So I want you to really get some clarity around that. In fact, here's what I want you to do later. And if I haven't already done this for you, I want you to order your free human design chart by going to my website at www.living-astrology.com. It's the dash or the hyphen, not the underscore. living-astrology.com, and request your free human design chart, because I want to be able to tell you what your authority is, how you're meant to make decisions. My guess is that it's going to be emotional, which means that you've got to choose things that make you feel good. So let's just say, let's set this up, right? You've got 2 eclipses. The first one, September 1st, is a solar eclipse, and so that's less than a week away. Or maybe a week away. But anyway, it's the first eclipse, and it's probably where the first big opportunity is going to come. But there's a lunar eclipse just a couple of weeks after that that may also have some really juicy stuff for you. So because Mercury is retrograde in the short term, why don't you just see if you can make a decision based on how it feels to you as opposed to what you think you need to do. There's a big difference there, because our minds get in there and kind of tell us things like, oh, but you need a job now. If I don't take this one, maybe there won't be another opportunity. And this one has good pay and good benefits. And even if I don't like it necessarily, I don't like the people, I don't like the office, I better take that one because it offers me more. When in reality, you probably should have taken the other one, even though it may have not paid as well, because in the end, it would have made you so much happier, and the money would have followed. So, in other words, does that? Oh, good. I'm so glad. I don't mean to say that, you're creating your own problem, but if you can stay out of fear of lack, and have faith that, the universe is benevolent and it will bring you the opportunities that are correct and in alignment with you, then you will find yourself making decisions that are the right ones, and you will align yourself with, the ability to be able to share your gifts and talents. Okay.
Perfect.
Now,
See, you saw like in September and October, opportunities might be coming. Do you see the move happening at a specific time period in terms of career?
Well, it'll be interesting because, of course, anytime you have an eclipse, you're talking about the moon and the sun. So no matter whether it's a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, the sun and moon both are involved. The solar eclipse is kind of the new beginnings end of things, in that it's a new moon, and the new moon is always a time of setting intentions and beginning something new. That kind of energy is always about openings up to something new. But remember that Mercury is retrograde during that same time period.
Yes.
So it would behoove you to take a little bit of time to make decisions so that you can make the correct one. All right? And it means that maybe you don't have something new until early October, but I don't want you panicking over that. Okay.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's fine.
Let me take one other look. Now, like James, our previous caller, you also have a lineup of planets in your 11th house. You have Saturn, your destiny, Eris, your prenatal solar eclipse, and Chiron all in the 11th house, which tells me, by the way, they're all in Aries, which tells me that you're here to really get clarity and to claim what you want. Right? Claim what you want. Don't just sit by and let things happen to you or for you. Claim it. I want this kind of job. I want to be, happy in my job. I want to be whatever it is that you want. Make sure you get in alignment with that. You're a Taurus energy. You have master manifesting skills. Everybody should want to be a Taurus like you. I know I have a daughter and a granddaughter, both that are Taurians, and I can tell you from just standing back and looking at their lives and what they do, that they get what they want. They don't. They just don't brook any disagreement, right? They don't allow for anybody to come in and say, no, you can't have that. My granddaughter can get me to do whatever it is she wants me to do. My daughter was the same way. Mm-hmm. And it's not just me. I'm easily manipulated, right, because I'm the mom or I'm the grandma. But I've watched them do things, get things that they need or want from other people. You can do it too. So use your charm and your skill at getting what you want. But you have to claim it first, and that's the important piece that we sometimes forget, right, is claim what we want. Yeah. All right, Shruti. Gosh, it's good to talk to you. It's been a while.
Yes. Actually, I don't think we've talked before. Have we talked before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I had your birth information already in the chart, and you have a unique name. So I recognize the name.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for calling in and for waiting. All right, sweetie. Well, take care. And Mercury retrograde.
Can I get a tarot reading also? Can I request a tarot reading also? Yes.
You know what? I haven't been looking at the studio. Let me see where he is. Jason, if you're there, jump in.
I'm absolutely here, and I know because we have about 25 minutes left. I'm going to go into hyperdrive here, so I hope everybody can hear what I'm saying. Shruti, maybe it's because I'm an East Coast person and I'm a New York City sort of an individual. I don't tend to sugarcoat things, and as we go along with the programming, you're gonna see the difference between Janet and me. Janet is extremely diplomatic. She's extremely lovely. I'm not that way. So I'm going to tell it to you like a big brother or a father so that you can hear this clearly, okay?
Okay.
The first card I pulled on you is a card where it's the Eight of Swords. Your hands are on your head. It tells me that you knew about this job coming to terms a long time ago, that you knew that this was going to come to a head. And these daggers are coming down on you, bringing you anxiety and fear. And so what I want you to hear is this. That's in the immediate past. Now you know you have to poop or get off the toilet. And the fact of the matter is this. We have the number 2 of discs in the present, which means balance, which means happiness. But what I want you to know psychically is that I do not see you going dovetailing from one job into the next. And I have some advice for you. The advice that I'm getting from my mother is we need to soften your soul up a little bit. You're a little hard. And what do I mean by this? I want you to put back into your karmic check zone, the positive zone, this. During the time between jobs, I want you to promise me, Shruti, that you do some volunteer work. I want you to do Meals on Wheels. I want you to go feed dogs. I don't care what you do, but do not stay home, get stagnant, and freak out. I
am currently working, so I'm grateful for that. I'm just taking proactive action.
And I understand. I think you should. Definitely go ahead. Get your resume up and buzzing. But what I'm telling you is when it all comes down and you're done at this job, I don't see you going immediately into the next job. I see there being a space of time, and during that time, I want you to hear me. Do volunteer work. Do not stay home. Go put positive energy into the universe, because the last card, and it's interesting, Janet, here, because the last caller and this caller, the last card in my pull is generally not a card of warning. So, Shruti, hear me loud and clear as a brother. If you don't do something different in the future, you're going to magnetize yourself. If you don't do something in the present, rather, like do some volunteer work, put some positive energy and sweetness out there, you're going to manifest another situation to yourself very much like what you've had, where you're not going to be actualized. You're not going to be happy the way you can be. The card that shows me at the end is the wheel, which means burning and churning, going through and grinding. And I don't want that for you. You sound like a delightful lady. You have the ability to have both wings, which means the disc shows me the butterfly. It is positive and negative, yin and yang. I need you to even out your yin and yang by doing some volunteer work, and that's the blessing that I give you today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. I'm going to go back into the screening area, Janet. And Shruti, thank you for your time. I have a young lady up for you next. Let me see, who do I have here? I believe I have, is it Dion? That's correct, right?
Hello?
Janet? Hi, Janet.
Yes, Dion is next.
Okay. Let's go ahead and put Dion on, okay?
All right. Thank you. Hello, Dion. Are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Nice to speak with you.
It is good to speak with you as well, and I'm just taking a look at your chart here. You know, I love it when people email me ahead of time because then I have your chart already printed, and I get to look at it and, you know, see exactly what's going on in your life. But this also is your reading, so I want to give you a moment to tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life, or what is your main concern right now?
Well, my main concern right now is that I just am totally in transition in my career. I kind of like to know what, you know, energy you're receiving as it relates to my family and romance. But if I had to give it a priority, I'm mainly concerned about the career.
Career seems to be uppermost in everybody's mind, and I like that because it's
specifically because I'm a manifesting generator according to your chart, and my theme is.
That's why your name sounded familiar to me. I did a chart for you.
Yeah, you did.
Oh goodness,
it
goodness!
Was accurate. It was almost scary accurate.
I love it. And you were a manifesting generator, correct?
Yeah.
So, because I'm looking at a different type of chart right now, let's talk about your astrology chart itself. So, career is your main focus right now, and that a lot of that has to do with the fact that Virgo energy really is about work and the work that we do, like the hands-on stuff. And then, of course, service and health is also involved. So when I look at the profession house here, I see that it's Scorpio that you have in that house, but it actually begins in Libra. What kind of work do you do?
Real estate, primarily.
And are you successful with that?
I have had some great successes this year. And as we move into the later part of the year, it's more so frustration. And it doesn't help that I'm really a creative, artsy type of person, and real estate is like the total opposite of that.
Well, here's maybe where there is an opportunity for you, Dion, and that is, first of all, you are a manifesting generator, so that means that you can multitask. You can actually have more than one line of prosperity, and you really should, anyway, have more than one, because you feel best when you have more than one stream of income coming in. So I see real estate, my opinion of real estate, and this is just mine, is that it is extraordinarily creative because you've got these homes and they have to be shown in the light that makes it, you know, something that people want. There's the possibility of, you know, staging a home, to use a Jason word, so that, you know, it's beautifully decorated or made, you know, beautiful, welcoming, and warm. So there are opportunities within real estate to be able to fulfill your creative side. But the other thing that I see here for you is that as a manifesting generator, you don't have to stick with just one thing. Right, you can move and do. You could follow your avocation. I was having a chat with someone today, and I said he was in the banking industry, and I said, "Is that your love?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I like it, but it's not really what I love." And I said, "Well, what would you love to do?" And he had to go back quite a ways to childhood to figure that out. And we, for some reason, feel like we can't do what we love as a way of making money. And I don't want you to get stuck there, right? That's an old paradigm. That is old energy. Because in your chart, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, they're all lined up beautifully in the very free and adventurous sign of Sagittarius, right? That is you were at the 29th degree, 28 minutes of Sagittarius. So you're very close to Capricorn, but you are still a Sagittarian. So it shouldn't be all about the nuts and bolts and that kind of thing. It should be what makes me feel good, what makes my heart soar. When I think of Sagittarius, I think of the constellation Sagittarius and, you know, the archer with his arrow pointed at the galactic center, which is where the heart of our universe is, to the heart of what it is that you really desire. Stop letting yourself get drawn into, you know, old paradigm thinking, which says I have to do what makes me money, I have to only do one thing, blah, 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 whatever it is your head tells you, and open up to allow yourself to be whoever it is you want to be. Okay? That's first.
Okay.
Now, one of the other things I see going on here, and by the way, Sagittarius is playing host right now to both Saturn and Mars in a very tight conjunction, like within minutes of each other. So a lot of the energy right now is for taking action on releasing yourself from limitation and setting in motion a new structure for your life. Okay? Remember, Mars was in retrograde motion earlier this year from April until end of June. And so our sort of actions forward were kind of, held up a bit. So now the stop sign is gone. It's time to go forward. Now let's look at where Virgo is in your chart, because that's going to tell me where there might be a little bit of a stop sign for you right now. And, there really isn't a stop sign for you, but more like a taking action on the spiritual front. So gaining a higher perspective. So I want you to take some time, and I want you to go backwards through your life and find those places where maybe you got too limited in your thinking. That's a third house function, the thinking. The ninth house says, if I'm in downtown New York and I'm on the street level, I can see buildings and cars and the people. But if I go up to the top of the tallest building and I look out, then I have this huge perspective that I can see. And that's kind of what you need to do right now. Elevate your perspective, elevate your thinking, and allow for something bigger to happen. Allow for your life to unfold in a much bigger way. You're not here to play small. Not here to play small at all. Now's your time. Right? The last thing you want to do is to end a Saturn transit, which isn't, anytime soon. It's not until next December. Not this December, next December. But you don't want to end that Saturn transit through Sagittarius and still be the same person doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be somebody bigger, somebody in alignment with who you want to be. Okay, now romance, nothing really. You got the moon moving through the romance house today. Maybe that's why it's, coming up. It's not necessarily a major focus for you right now, because I think there are other concerns right now. Getting your life in alignment with who you really want to be is the most important thing.
That is.
Can I ask you a question? I know I'm getting low on time here, and I really want to be able to take another caller at least today. But how is your self-worth?
My self-worth?
Right, your self-worth. Are you worthy? Do you feel worthy to receive big blessings? Big, little, all different sized blessings.
So that's something that I continuously work on. Being the oldest of 5 and always being like the rock when everybody else is going crazy and pulling out their hair, I kind of been called on a lot. And I think I went through a period where my self-worth was tied up in that, how much I was needed by other people, or, it had some kind of funky codependency thing going on. So I've done a lot of work in the last few years to get out of that. I learned to flex my no muscle, to not really take on things that I know I don't particularly want to do, because I would just present the person in the situation. So I've done a lot of work with that. So I'm in a pretty good place. There's always room for improvement, but I am a lot better than.
So here's my last thought for you, and this is something that it's a question of sorts, but not one that you can answer, because this is going to require you to take a dive into your unconscious mind. I want you to ask the question: what stops me from doing everything that I want to do, or what holds me back? Every time I see the sun in the 12th house, which, by the way, I have as well, so I'm very familiar with this energy. There is something that damps your light, that you hold yourself back from, almost like you're in that. That's kind of a play that's happening here in your chart. And right now we have Neptune moving through your second house of money. So it's time really for you to, apply some unconditional love to yourself. And don't be afraid to look at what is it that holds me back? What am I afraid of? And that may take some time for you to go through, all right? You take the time to do some inner work on that. Mercury's retrograde time is perfect for inner work, by the way, and that's for everybody out there listening. It's a perfect time to look inward and see, because we're dealing with it in Virgo, what has stopped you from actually putting out your work? What has stopped you from sharing your gifts and your talents? And what would you need to do to clear that up so that you can do it, okay?
Wow.
Go there. Don't be afraid. Go there. Okay?
I'm there. I mean, you just really kind of, confirm some things for me.
Good girl. Now, it's not to say that you aren't good at real estate. I bet you are, right? If I had your human design chart in front of me, I could probably tell you right away if business is a good thing for you or not. But I want you to open up to the possibility of doing what you love, not just what makes you money. All right?
Yeah. So I'm working on that as well. But that whole thing about playing small, that's just been a running thing in my life. So that's ongoing work as well. And I've taken some action this week that has kind of been uncomfortable, but it's been conducive to my growth and growing out. And so I'm really working to be more consistent with it, and it's hard.
I know, but it's worth it. It's worth it, right? It's worth it because it's worth it for you to have what you want. Notice worth it has worthiness in it. I mean, there's worth, and that means all right.
Yeah.
All right, dear. Thank you so much for calling in and for waiting for your turn. And I see Mercury retrograde is striking in that poor Jason got knocked off the line. So I'm actually going to have to find Erica, who's my next participant. Here she is. Hello, Erica. Oh, nice. Come on, Erica. Hello.
Hey. Hey, Janet, how are you?
Good.
I'm doing well. It's so funny. I got kicked off earlier, and I had to call back in.
I know, and Jason told me, because we keep Skype open so we can chat without, having to, worry about anybody hearing the conversation. So he told me that you fell off, and then he told me he fell off, and I'm like, oh, that's too funny. So here you are, and what I did for you, because you had sent me information that your birthday was coming up, I pulled a solar return chart. So we could take a look at some of the major themes that are developing for you in your new year. Is that what you would like me to do?
That's awesome.
So you, like everybody who's called in and talked with us today, have a major focus in the career house or the career sector this year. Now, it comes to mind that when I say career and profession, it's not always about what you do. It's about as much who you be in that. In the 10th house, there's also a sense of claiming your authority, right, and being your own author of your life. So and that means that, you want to be a perpetual student, a tourist, an artist. It doesn't matter what you want to be. That's what's important because it's something you desire, okay? So on your birthday, of course, a lot of the energy is moved on from Virgo. We'll still have the Sun and the North Node or Destiny in Virgo. The Moon is actually in Virgo on your birthday, and Mercury retrograde is still there. But the Jupiter by then will have, Jupiter's still there too. That's right, because it doesn't move out until September 9th. Your birthday is September 3rd. So you'll still have a lot of focus in that Virgo energy that says, okay, so where do I want to go with my career? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be in the world? That's the major or the primary focus. And because your birthday is just post the new moon, then all things are new, right? You can set the tone for how you want your year to go. And that's what I would suggest you do. In fact, you know what I do on my birthday? I pull a chart, and your birthday actually occurs on September 2nd at 1:42 p.m. And that would be in... that's probably that's in East Coast time. So I like to connect with that energy at the moment the sun returns to the degree of the sign it was in when I was born, so that I can kind of tune in and set an intention for how I want my year to go. Now, That doesn't mean there won't be challenges. It doesn't mean that, odd things are going to happen or, unexpected things. But it does mean that I've set an intention for how I'm directing my energy of the new moon and of my new year, my new birthday, or my birthday. So take the time to do that for yourself this year. What is it you want to create? And if you could do anything in the world, then what would it be? I have this little sign I keep next to my coffee pot. It says, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Because I always head to the coffee pot first thing in the morning, right? So it's one of the first messages I see in the morning. And it always reminds me that the only thing that holds me back ever is a fear of failure, that a fear that I don't know enough or I'm not going to be able to do what it is I want to do. But if I were to let go of that, even just for a moment, what would I be able to create? And that's kind of where you are. What could you create if you let go of the preconceived notions of what it is you should be doing instead of doing what you want to be doing? Does all that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Now, the other place that has a lot of energy on your birthday is your first house. So here we go, right? Now it was about claiming your authority in what...
Definitely.
Okay. So on your birthday, you've got Saturn and Mars, the part of fortune, and the galactic center, all in your first house and by solar return. Now, by birth, they're in your fifth house, which is why I already know that you're this creative individual, right? There's a lot of creative energy floating through you that's waiting to be expressed either artistically, through dance, through poetry, through writing, through whatever way you want to express yourself, okay? Now, all you have to do in this year is to change your perspective on what you allow for yourself. That is your biggest job this year, right? If you want to be a dancer, if you want to be a painter, if you want to be a drag car racer, change your perspective to see yourself able to do that. All right?
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
I'm really sure you want to be a race car driver, right?
Well, I don't know about the race car driver, but maybe. You never know. I'm not going to mark it off my list.
No, don't mark it off
Janet,
your list.
Can you hear me?
Hey, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. We're having some Mercury craziness over here. I just wanted very quickly to chime in since we have about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
For the lady that you're speaking with, I actually was not able to hear just about any of it. So very, very quickly, I pulled one card, and this is my card for you. Please stop doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. It is very necessary for you to start changing things up and for you to do things differently if you want a different result. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you've got to change it up. So that's the major conversation that comes through in the card for you today.
Nice. So if you didn't hear what we were talking about,
do something different. I have no idea because I couldn't hear you because I got disconnected. I'm loving Mercury today.
Yeah, it's our friend.
Wonderful. So, Janet, you have exactly 1 minute left. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I will join you again next week. I will leave you to say goodbye to your audience, and I'm going to be in the background.
Thank you, Jason. So, Erica.
Thank you, Janet.
You are so welcome. And by the way, I love all the pictures you post on Facebook. I do see them. So I'm going to be watching to see you start posting everything that you love. I'm going to see you blossom this year. So that's the intention I'm holding for you, is that you blossom and move toward that which you really want to be. All right?
Yes, thank you.
You're most welcome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on Living Astrology. We look forward. Thank you for joining me today on Living Astrology. Living Astrology is part of the Empower You Media Network. You can find out more by going to www.living-astrology.com or by going to www.empoweryoumedia.com. If you would like to find out when our shows are airing, you can follow us at Blog Talk Radio under Living Astrology. Please consider liking us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Living Astrology and also Empower You Media. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now. Have a stellar week.